to Ryder's Farms. Help us get to we are flopping, they're getting usually we get like, 1,000 views per video. Now we're not even making like 600. Sometimes we are, but like we're really kind of like videos right now. I don't know what's going on. It's not like it's the winter time or anything, plenty of people, gardening now. So I don't know what's going on. You guys gotta help us. You know, I don't know why the channel like can't be hyped. Like people have told me like that they can't like hype some videos. I don't know why, but I'll look into that. Anyway, come on, tap that live. Come on, like this up, please. I really appreciate it. Those who do like my videos. Hey guys, tap that like button, tap that screen, tap that screen. Come on. Hey, will you help us get to 500 subscribers by subscribing if you haven't already? Will you help us, by liking that live, by liking this live, tapping that screen 2 times, sharing this, help us really get out there. Will you help us reach 500 subscribers? Go ahead and click one. Will you support us? Hey guys, make sure you tap that live, tap the screen, help us like. Will you guys, hey, will you support us? Hey, 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 make sure you tap that screen. Don't like it, tap it 2 times to like it to help get it out there. Share it. Help us get to 500 subscribers. We are only 39 away. 39, you know. And then, if we get to once we get to 500 subscribers, you know, we we can start, getting like super chat. We can start like like those clubs that you like pay money for, and it's subscriber like extra like premium subscribers only. But we also not only do we need to get to 500 subscribers to get that, we also need 3,000 watch um hours and or 3 million views on shorts, which I don't think will happen. But look at this beautiful rose. Look at it. Isn't that beautiful? Please, tell me, why won't you support us? For those who said no, unfortunately, we are a small, gardening YouTube channel. We share tips and tricks and all that, on like, how to increase your harvest, your yields and stuff. Look at this. See, this is my grape. I'm going to be doing a video on how to prune this, because I've seen like, some farmers, they do some strategic pruning to like, for like maximum harvest and stuff, how and to keep the grapes nice and healthy. Yes, keep on commenting, tell me what do you have in your garden? Tell me, do you have a garden? Um, If you guys have any gardening questions for me, go ahead and tell me in the chat. Make sure you share this live. You- will you help us support us to our journey to 500 subscribers? And once we hit that goal, on and on. And look at this. This is my yucca. And an animal like attacked it, bit off the top. But it is coming back. See, it's got some shoots there, and it's got a little baby one coming up there. See, like some plants are pretty resilient, if like, it's got like the whole top bit off, but it's got some roots under it. This is a yucca, it got attacked by an animal, bit off the top, chewed down to a nub. But look, it's coming back because it's got like some rhizomes or whatever, down there. So it's like, got like a little pup there and there, so it's coming back. Very happy about that. Make sure you guys, tap that screen. You know, and help support us to our journey. And for those who said no, why don't you want to support us? We are our gardening channel. We post tips, tricks, all that stuff. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. This is my rose, my orange rose. I'm not sure. I have to see if I have the tag to see what it's exactly called. But like isn't that beautiful? It's got a little one down there, got one here and here. Ooh, I don't know what that was. That didn't sound good. Anyway, one here, one little baby one coming up here and here. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. This is my windmill palm. Tell me, any of you heard of windmill palm before? Tell me in the chat. It helps, get that live, get this live out there, the more chats, helps us get this live out there, but please, tell me, instead of just spamming, hey, I'd really appreciate it, if you guys tell me, do you have a garden, ask questions, what are you guys growing in your garden? Do you have a garden? All that stuff. And share this live, tap that screen, help us get it out there, help us reach 500 subscribers, so we can get super chat and all that, but you also got to be making sure you're watching our videos, because we need 3,000 watch hours or 3 million short views to get like the super chat and and like to promote shop and stuff and all that. Thank you guys for staying in here. I really appreciate it. Look at this. This is my grape. This is the third year. So first year it took it took kind of like a beating. It battled, it took it battled with fungus on it, it grew a bunch, and now the third year, we're finally getting some flowers on it. We got a ton of them, absolute ton. We're gonna have a big load of grapes. Tell me, guys, in the chat, what are you growing? How will you support us? Will you share, all that stuff. We also have a GoFundMe, so and I just want to let you guys know that the money is going to be saved there until we have enough to buy actual farmland. It's not going to be spent on anything like now, anything that we add to our garden now, to our farm now. But go on the homepage, go to the GoFundMe. You can donate any amount helps. We're gonna so that, we're gonna save up that money until we have enough to, get a loan for farmland and all that stuff. Make sure you guys, share this live, tap that screen if you haven't already, subscribe. Look at this. My rose, my windmill palm. Have you ever heard of one? This one's doing pretty good. I overwintered it. Tell me in the chat, how you guys are doing. This is my easy as pie cherry bush. It grew a lot this year. I got some cucumbers there. These are some organic Better Bush tomatoes. Some pea sugar snaps, some asparagus growing there. Look at that. But asparagus, it does take a little bit to, what's it called? To, like, finally get some harvestable asparagus. It takes, like, 3 years or something. Look at my beautiful lavender. T Comment in the chat, you know, what do you grow in your garden, how's your garden doing and all that. Look, my honeysuckles, they're kind of losing their blooms now, but I did get a ton of honeysuckles, and they were, absolutely, delicious, and they're great for pollinators. Look at my pineapple, that I grew from like a grocery store pineapple, twisted off the head, and all that. I did post a video on that, quite some time ago, like a year ago, and we are celebrating our 10-year anniversary, 10-year anniversary. So I've been gardening since 2016, so like over 10 years now. Since I didn't start gardening right at 2016, that's when I really started getting into it. But, I started, like a year or two before that, maybe, just doing little stuff. But look at this. My peach, it only has one hanging on there, and it's not looking too good. My peach tree is got, again, it's called, peach leaf curl, which, is this side isn't too bad, but like, see, it's got like this here, I gotta take some of that off, I'm gonna spray it with some stuff next year. My peanut plant and all that. And, make sure tap that screen, like this live, um, to support us, you share our channel and all that. That's my fall gold raspberry. It's got some fruit on it. It's kind of getting eaten by some bugs, but let's see. Blackberry. Hey guys, make sure you tap that screen. Tell me what you are growing in your garden. Tell me in the chat right now. What are you growing in your garden? Do you have a garden? Let me know in the chat. To support us, share videos, share our channel, and subscribe and like and all that. Look at my, honeysuckles there. Absolutely beautiful. Let's see if we get some honey. Why don't we pick one off there? Okay, let me just